joined by the governor of Iowa, Kim Reynolds. Governor Reynolds, appreciate you coming by, spending some time with us today.
Oh, hi, Buck. It's great to be with you. I appreciate the opportunity. So thanks.
Let's launch into this one. I mean, we love it. We can present encouraging news out there. The pollster who just had, I'm forgetting, Ann Seltzer, I think, out of
Yep, yep,
Iowa,
yep,
she showing that Trump is up 18 points in your
yep.
state of Iowa, which just seems like an absolute break the glass moment for the Democrats here. What can you tell us about this one? I mean, does that track with what you think is going on in your state?
Oh, absolutely. It tracks. We carried Iowa for President Trump both times. We did really well the last cycle here in the state of Iowa. They love his policies. They are sick and tired of what is coming out of the Biden administration. They love this country. We love our freedom and our independence. And we want a president who'll get this country back on track. And they, without a doubt, we know that President Trump is the guy that can do that. On day one, he'll close the border. We're miles away from the southern border, but every single governor knows the consequences of Biden's open border, and we're dealing with it every single day, coupled with just the insanity of the weakness on the world stage and just the pure incompetence that we see happening with the Biden administration. And I think, I was at an event last night, a fundraiser, and they're ready to go to the mat. When we talked about President Trump's record and what he'll do for this country, people were on their feet and they were clapping and yelling and really just they understand the seriousness of this election. They've seen firsthand how fast failed leadership can really destroy the greatness of this country. We always say we're resilient. This country is resilient. And if we get this election right, I have no doubt that we'll restore the greatness of this country and our presence on the world stage. But we got to make it happen, and we will make it happen here in the state of Iowa.
How is the illegal immigration issue affecting your state? I'm sure you saw Biden had this essentially this executive order amnesty that he announced this week,
Yeah,
and it
yeah.
comes at a time when his numbers on illegal immigration are really another big problem for him going into this election cycle.
Yeah, I mean, just the insanity of the policies that he puts in place. 2 weeks ago, first of all, he said he couldn't use an executive order to do anything to stop the infiltration of our country. Then he stands up in an executive order, which basically solidifies and says it's okay to have a certain number of illegals coming across the border into our country. And it just there's no consistency. And then he does the amnesty executive order, which basically sends the message to the world that we're open. The time is now. Cross our border illegally, and you'll have a path to citizenship down the road. So it's ridiculous. And as I said, every single governor is dealing with increase in violent crime, drug seizures. We're just seeing an increase in overdose deaths. The fentanyl that's coming into our communities and just killing our children is unconscionable. When you look at Rachel Morin and a mom of five in Maryland that was raped and brutally murdered, illegal immigrant. The 13-year-old little girl in New York that was abducted and raped. And Bacon Riley. The list goes on and on and on. And all of those did not need to happen. You're not a country if you don't have a secure border. And we need to, and that's another reason. President Trump on day one will secure the border and start the deportation of the 11 million and counting, or 10, whatever the number is, that have come into our country illegally.
Do you think
We
that
passed a law. I don't know if you want to talk about that, but we actually passed a law to really stop the revolving door. Here in Iowa, we
yeah,
made
tell
it
me
a
about the
state
law.
crime.
Let's go.
Yeah,
Dive in.
we made it a state crime for illegal immigrants to enter Iowa if they've been denied admission or deported. So if the president again is not going to do his constitutional duty to protect the American citizens and the sovereignty of our country, as a governor, my number one priority is to protect the health and safety of our citizens. And so I can tell you without hesitation, if he's not going to do what he is required to do as the president of this country, then the states are going to step in. We had a judge enjoined it yesterday or the day before. Was probably the most aggressive route that he could take to block the legislation. But really, what we did a little bit different in the state of Iowa is it doesn't supersede federal law. It actually codifies in state law what the federal law that's what the federal law already deems illegal. So we think there's a good possibility that the U.S. Supreme Court will eventually take up this case. This one, or Texas or Oklahoma, I think, has also passed a similar case. You're probably going to continue to see more states take a look at this. And we think we have a strong legal argument to distinguish our law from the Arizona case that was actually already taken up by the United States Supreme Court in 2012, I think it was. But it differs from that, again, because we don't, Arizona superseded the federal law. We don't. We just codify what is already federal law. So we don't think the precedent that they used really applies to this case. And on that case, there were 3 justices that dissented, and that included Thomas and Alito. So, again, it just boils back to all we're trying to do is enforce the U.S. immigration laws. We're trying to protect our citizens, and we're stepping in to do what President Biden has failed to do, his constitutional duty to protect the citizens and the sovereignty of this country.
We're speaking to Iowa Governor Kim Reynolds. And to that end, Governor Reynolds, when you talk about stepping up and doing what's necessary to enforce the law, if we have another Trump presidency, is the state of Iowa prepared on this issue of illegal immigration to use state resources to help with enforcement and also with deportation, effectively acting alongside federal counterparts to enforce immigration law?
Oh, absolutely. That's what I'm trying to do with the state law that we passed. We're ready to go. The unfortunate thing is, we've got, President Biden is busing and flying illegal immigrants to all parts of the country. And this is one of the reasons it makes it so devastating is we have no idea as the governor of our states who's coming in to our state. We get no advance notice. They're coming in. We had this happen a couple years ago where they flew in the middle of the night, 15 young girls into the Des Moines airport, and then they had 3 charter buses they loaded them up on that and took them out of the state. And for 6 months, I tried to get answers from this administration about whether they are involved in that or not, and they continued to deny that they had any involvement in it whatsoever. And, we said, well, we're not going to let this go because it's either this is human trafficking or something is going on, and we are going to get to the bottom of it. And we worked with Senator Grassley, who also helped to hold them accountable, and they finally admitted that, they were the ones that had flown them into Iowa in the middle of the night, unloaded them and then loaded them onto 3 charter buses, and I don't know where they went from there, but it's just unconscionable what we see happening. And, if you're a country without borders, you're not a country. And it needs to stop. We need to elect a president that will stop it, that will do what's already not only the constitutional duty, but there's federal statute that says you need to, deny, and you can't deny or detain. And basically, as you know, they're just mass paroling illegal immigrants into our country, denying and going against what the law already says.
And Governor Reynolds, I don't know if you saw this, but the cover of New York Magazine, which is still a thing, still exists, has a headline. The main story is, "Are Republican Women Okay?" And it says that they're looking at the new mold of Republican womanhood in the age of Trump in all of its wrath, sweetness, strength, and subservience to MAGA. What do you make of this? I mean, are they concerned that they're not going to be able to?
We might have a thought and we might have an idea.
Yeah.
And we're ready to go to the mat to defend our basic freedom and liberty, that we don't think government's the answer, that we believe in our people. I mean, it's in life and liberty and the Second Amendment. It's crazy. I don't know who said it. We also have said it here, but I mean, this is from a party that can't define a woman. So give me a break. Once they figure out what a woman is and they stop trying to erase women, then maybe they can, enter into the mix. But listen, I'm proud to have the opportunity to serve the people of Iowa. I actually was the governor during COVID. And I'm telling you, we took a different approach than a lot of the other states. We actually put our trust and faith in the people in the people of Iowa. We gave them information every single day. We passed a law. We were one of the first states to get the kids back in the classroom. We did, we set a law against vaccine and mask mandates. We kept businesses open. We in Iowa, our farmers produce 10% of the nation's food supply, so it was essential that we continued to keep the food supply chain moving. And, we've got great things happening in the state of Iowa, despite the challenges from the Biden administration. We have an economy that's growing. We're cutting taxes. Starting January 1, we'll go to a 3.8% flat tax. I'm actually cutting government and red tape. I mean, I cut 21 agencies from my cabinet. We just did a realignment with behavioral health where we went from 32 separate agencies down to 7 regions to help really align and provide better resources to Iowans. We actually support our law enforcement and we're keeping our communities safe. And that's a story that plays out in every single state that's led by a Republican governor. And it is certainly a contrast to what you're seeing in California and New York and Minnesota and Illinois. The contrast is stark. And, we no longer tax retirement or inheritance tax, reducing the corporate. We've got a great story to tell, and people are paying attention. And I'm proud of what we're doing. I'm proud to serve the people of Iowa, and I'm looking forward to serving and working again with President Trump. When he did the tax cut in his first 4 years, it really was the jump start for Iowa to go in 2018 and really start reducing taxes. And I've signed 5 tax reform bills since 2018. Our individual income tax rate, we had 9 brackets, so 8.98%. And as I said, we'll go to a flat 3.8 starting January 1, and we're not done. We're going to keep lowering that tax burden on Iowans, which really helps offset some of the, just the inflationary.
The federal pressures on everybody that are out there. Yeah, look, red states like yours that are doing well are clearly part of the overall narrative, and I think helpful to Donald Trump as well as the rest of the Republicans running for federal office right now. Governor Reynolds of Iowa, appreciate you being with us, and we'll talk to you soon.
Okay, thanks for letting me filibuster. I appreciate it. Bye.
Great to have you. Thanks so much.